What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? So, could Iverson play in this generation, and where does he rank? Where does he rank? Now, I do think Iverson could play in this generation of the NBA in this era because he played in an era that was that had hand checking, that had hand checking, and that had hand checking. I definitely think Iverson could play in this NBA era because when you look how the game is now, there's a lot of fouls. You could get to the line more. You could get to the line more, and there's a lot of fouls. And I think AI would be a perfect fit in generation, this generation of the NBA because when you look at it, we have Steph Curry, we have LeBron James, we have KD. We really don't talk about Iverson that much because when we talk about the great players, we talk about Michael Jordan, we talk about Kobe Bryant, we talk about Shaq, we talk about LeBron James, Kevin, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. We talk about those guys, but we don't talk about Iverson that much. Which I think we need to start talking about Iverson and his career more because the way that Iverson played, he brought that swagger. Iverson brought that swagger to the NBA. Was the first pick to was the first pick of the Sixers. Iverson brought that swagger to the NBA. Nobody nobody talks about him crossing up Jordan, him crossing up Ty Lue in the NBA Finals. Nobody talks about his 48 point or 50-point performance in the NBA Finals when he led a 76ers team with with a turbo and Eric Snow and Larry Hughes. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that Iverson team that he led in a turbo and Eric Snow and Larry Hughes and Iverson in the 2000 or 2000 or the 2001 finals. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about how went against he went against Kobe and Shaq in the finals. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about how AI how AI could play. Nobody brings up AI's name. I do think AI can play in this generation just the way how he would bring that swagger. I'm not saying just the way he would bring that swagger and how the game is now. The game is now you could get to the line easier. And I think Iverson could average 50, could average 40, could average 60 points in this generation. In this generation. Yes, we don't bring up Iverson a lot. We bring up Michael Jordan. We bring up the great Kobe Bryant. We bring up LeBron James. We bring up Kevin Durant. We bring up Steph Curry. We don't talk about Iverson a lot. We don't talk about how Iverson or Yao Ming or Yao Ming or Iverson brought to the game, because how Iverson brought to what Iverson brought to the NBA is swagger. Is swagger to the NBA. Is swagger to the NBA. Is more brought swagger to the NBA. He crossed up Ty Lue. He crossed up Ty Lue in the NBA Finals. He crossed up Michael Jordan in his first NBA game. He was the number one pick. A lot of people don't talk about Iverson, or give Iverson the credit that he deserves. Because the the way I see it, and the way I see it is that Iverson could play in this generation. Iverson could play in this generation. Now, where does he rank? Where does he rank? I would say in the top three. In the top three of point guards or shooting guards, you would have to put Iverson in that top three. You would just have to, because Iverson brought the swagger to the NBA. Nobody talks about how he crossed over Ty Lue. Nobody talks about his 48 points in the NBA Finals. Nobody talks about um him him crossing up Michael Jordan. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that. I think we need to put Iverson in that conversation with all the greats, because Iverson brought that swagger to the game. He brought that swagger to the game. If you ask me who could play in this era, if you ask me who would fit better in this era, I would say it would be Iverson. It would be Iverson who could fit in this era. Yes, Shaq could fit in this era. Yeah, Jordan could fit in this era. Yeah, um, um, Kevin Garnett could fit in this era. Like, you can put all of those greats that are in the that are in the greatest players of all time, like Kobe, like Shaq, like Ron, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, um, Kim, Steph Curry. Like, you could put that those type of players in that conversation, but you would have to put Iverson in that conversation too. You would have to put Iverson in that conversation too, because we don't talk about Iverson a lot. We don't talk about how he brought what he brought to the game. We don't give Iverson a lot of credit. We should start bringing up name and Iverson's name, because what he brought to the game, and what he brought to the game was swagger, and he played hard. He played hard. He played hard. You can say other players played hard, but he played in a generation in the 90s to 2000s. Iverson played in the 90s to the 2000s, where there were where there were hand checking. You could hand check. You can't do that now in the NBA, but there was hand checking. There was hand checking in the NBA. There's no hand checking now. It was a tough league back in the 90s to 2000. But I would say Iverson would fit great in this gen- in this in any era in the NBA. In this era in the NBA, I would say is in this era I would say he could fit better in this era. But in this era he would drop 50, he would drop 60, he would drop 30 because Iverson could get to the line a lot. Iverson could get to the line a lot. And I definitely think Iverson could get to the line a lot because when you look at it, you had Michael Jordan in the 90s, you had Dennis Rodman, you had Scottie Pippen, you had Reggie Miller, you had Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, Dirk, Shaq, Kobe. You had all of those players in the 90s, and you had Gary Payton, and you had Iverson. I don't think we need to start talking about Iverson's career anymore because a lot of people really don't bring up Iverson's career or talk about Iverson or put him in the greatest of all time or put him in the greatest of all time list. We need to start talking about Iverson. But guys, who is your favorite player in the NBA, and who do you think would fit in this era? Guys, never give up your dreams, and I hope all of you guys are safe out there. And